shit. I'm telling you, I'll stay fucking this up. Oh, shit. I don't even know. Okay. That's how we're gonna do that. Morning. This morning. It's 9:40 in the morning. I'm home. So one of my son's chores is to do the dishes, right? He uses the washing machine, of course. I can't stand the motherfucking washing machine because, excuse me, I guess I was just raised old fashioned. Plus, I feel like they don't get this shit clean the way I could get it clean. But you know, these motherfucking kids nowadays is always trying to find a cheat code. Anyway, YouTube sent me an email or something about my channel. I don't know. I don't know if it's the language or something they were saying about something. Whatever they were saying, they said I lost some type of privileges or something like that for my channel. And you know what frustrates me? Not just about YouTube, but about a lot of shit that we deal with in our lives. It's beginning to get more frustrated for me by the fucking day, by the minute, maybe even by fucking hour. Because every fucking body wants some type of control over you. Everybody, everything, every entity, at least this has been my experience as of lately, wants to have some type of control in some aspect of your life or another. I fucking realize that some people probably need governing. However, I honestly don't feel like I'm one of them motherfucking people. And perhaps also, I'm not really sure why or if that has been an issue in my previous relationship. Excuse me. That is an issue for me going all the way to my current employment, my job. I realized a long time ago, I realized that there are rules, there are life rules, there are employment rules, there are community guidelines and rules, there's government rules, there's all these fucking rules. And I realized earlier on that rules are fucking made to be broken. It's just a matter of how you break them. You don't have to be disrespectful, you don't have to be wild, you don't have to be uncivil about breaking them. But I realized that I've had a tremendous amount of frustration with people outside of myself governing me. Mainly because the governing turns to micromanagement, in which in turn creates a hostile environment. Because you follow the rules that they set up, and believe it or not, it's a fucking problem to follow the rules. Because then they turn around and say, you're not doing it the way that I intended for it to be done when I created this rule. So yeah, you're following the rules. You're following the rules, doing it the way you see fit. And that's not good enough for me, or that's not appropriate enough for me, or that's not the way that I envision it's supposed to be done. It should be done the way I created it in my mind to be done, not the way you understood it to be done, not your comprehension of how it should be done, even though you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing it the right way. It's just, I don't like that you're doing it that way. Because when I created these rules, I intended for it to be done a specific way. So, I don't know what YouTube was saying about the channel, honestly. Um, but as of lately, I have been in this zone, and I think too, life can be so fucking chaotic at times, even when there's absolutely nothing going on. And I'm saying that because I know that you're not supposed to tell the world everything that's going on in your life, you know. Um, and so I don't. But in creating this channel was my very high hopes of, if it was one thing that I would be able to get black women to, and some men too, because men hurt also. But the channel was created out of the pain of a minority woman, or I can't stand that damn word, minority. I can't stand it, especially when it's referencing a particular race and gender of people. So you know what? I'm gonna X that out, and I'm gonna say the channel was created out of the hurt and pain of a black woman. I know that black is a color. I don't particularly care for African American either. So I'm gonna go with Ebonics on this one for 200, and I'm gonna say that that is how the channel was created, and so my audience was geared towards that, right? I am not trying to exclude anyone. If you happen to be a male watching this channel and you have been through some of the things that I've experienced, if it's relatable content in any way, then please feel free to view it, relate, add input. I definitely would love male input. I believe that the women that do watch would love some type of male input, but by no means should you take offense because I am not being um, gender inclusive with every line and everything that I say. I don't want to create a fucking space. Like, this is a safe space. I don't want to fucking create a channel that I have to watch everything that I say because I don't want to offend anyone. There should be absolutely no reason for anyone that watches this channel to be offended by anything that I say. It's absolutely no reason. So when you're watching this channel, I need you to put your adult gear on because we're adulting here. And we're not stroking egos, and we're not this is just an all-inclusive channel. Okay? It's just an all-inclusive channel. If it's relatable content, it's relatable content. It doesn't matter your race, it doesn't matter your gender. Okay, because we have all suffered from heartbreak at one time or another, and sometimes, especially when you have shared decades with someone, heartbreak could very well turn into and be a traumatic experience. Um, um, excuse me. Um, I'm on the phone. Well, I'm in touch with a carpenter because I need some minor things done in the house, but it is still a little bit complex because it's things I'm not sure how to do. Um, I was speaking to my sister the other day, right? And I would like to believe that 11, 11. I would like to believe that I've spoken on this before in uh but I mean, sometimes we have to in order to break a cycle, we have to um repeat certain things, go through certain things again. So I'm not gonna make a reference to past content. Excuse me. What I will say is that the traumatic experience of a breakup, and I don't want to downplay, well, not downplay it, but I don't want to upplay it to like say decades, because each individual person is fucking different. So it could be a relationship that you was in for like 2 3 years. I cannot say that it wasn't as effective on you than my 20 plus or 30 plus, or I can't say that it didn't have the same effect because each individual is different, right? But I can definitely say that breakups can be a fucking traumatic experience, and it can be so traumatic that you have to seek other means of help in order to heal. Now, let me just remind you that when you are healing from any fucking thing, any type of heartbreak, whether it is a romantic uh separation, uh, platonic separation, meaning you and your friend of so many years are not friends anymore for whatever reason, um is it, it can have an effect on you. It can I have, like, during my breakup, and I can only reference myself and my experiences during my breakup, baby. I felt fucking like it was a death, right? It felt like a death. And me and my sister were speaking about this the other day, right? Because she's arrived at that point and it feels like a death, right? And what I've come to realize as I begin to elevate past that point in retrospect is that it is a death of many sorts. It is not just the death of a relationship, it is also the death of who you were in that relationship, who you were to that person, your life, that particular cycle of your life has been removed, taken away. Uh, and that can be hard because everything that you have grown to understand about love and relationships and even yourself at that point is no longer. That can be hard to adjust to as well. It is a fucking death. It's not like a death. It is because like everything about yourself and that person during that cycle is no more. And when you finally get to, because I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, and I am not a psychologist, I am not a licensed therapist, I am I am a survivalist of traumas that I've experienced, and one of them happened to be the breakup. But when you are get to a certain point of healing and you're able to go back and look in things in retrospect, you then begin to evolve into a whole nother person, because there's so many phases and journeys that we go through in this life. I had to get to a point where I can understand that I was under the impression in my youth that when you do things the right way and in a timely fashion, you set yourself up not just for success, but a pretty self-dictatable life. Dictate? No, that's not the word. That's not the word I'm looking for. Shit, brain fart. I just threw a blank. But it's like your life, you pretty much routine, for lack of better words. It's like your life becomes a certain routine because you're almost sure, or you're probably all sure, that at this point everyone that's in it is going to be remain there. You have in your mind a certain understanding of who may not be there, why they may not be there, but for the most part you have your circle of life, so to speak, right? And you fucking figure that these are the people that's going to be there. And so when that starts to change, there's a shock factor that comes into play. There's an extra attachment that comes into play, because you sense the changes, whether you have a vision and see it, or whether it's a gut feeling, whether it's intuitive, you feel it, but you have a sense that change is coming. And whether you know exactly what the change is or not, most of us are not receptive to change because of fear. We fear that the change will be more to our detriment than it will be to our benefit. And so when the changes start to come, you notice about this person, you notice that your inner circle, who you always felt would be the same, when you notice that that is starting to change, the attachment to try to grab on to not just that person, but all the experiences that you shared together, all of what the foundational aspects of the relationship, you try to hold on to that, because you're, even though you was getting all these signs, you're not prepared for the change. You don't want the change because you're like in this space that, I, as an individual, done everything that I was supposed to do. I've done things the right way, you know, and I should be rewarded for what I want. I should be rewarded my heart's desires. And my heart's desires is my family, my husband, my significant other, my children. Um, And if that changes, if any of that changes, well, I don't know what comes with that. But whatever it is that come with it, I'm so used to things being this way that I'm just gonna hold on to it by any means, even if I start changing to try to accommodate the situation to keep it a little longer. Maybe if I make some personal adjustments again, I'll be able to hold on to the situation that I feel is suitable for me. In my phase of healing, I have learned, and I'm still learning. Which I don't want to speak on right now because it just may be a little too soon. Not even really sure. But again, I was speaking with my sister about change, right? And I'm gonna have to turn this down because now I'm starting to get annoyed because I feel like I'm being interrupted. So changes, right? Fear change, right? You're so fearful of the unknown because I think that's what keeps us attached, even when the love starts to turn to disrespect and the love starts to turn toxic. And I think what keeps us attached is still something that we know. Like, we know this particular demon. We've watched this monster. I don't know if we created it or not, but we definitely watched this person evolve or turn into a monster. So even though it's toxic at this time, we still know this person to a degree. You know what I'm saying? We still know this motherfucker. Because we've been with them long enough to be able to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And so we're still not really ready to grasp the reality that everything that we actually want is on the other side of fear. And I'm saying that on every level of my life, and I'm still fucking learning that. From employment all the way to relationships. The crazy, maybe ironic, I'm not really sure, thing about fear is that every fucking thing that we have experienced in our lives had a level of fear before we experienced it. Right? Because we did not know what to expect. That is why it's called the experience. You have an idea, or you have a thought, or you have an intuitive notion that something has to be done. Maybe it's circumstantial. Maybe there's some type of circumstance that happened in your life where you had to get on something immediately and it just had to be done immediately, right? And all up until that point where it absolutely had to be done and you absolutely had no choice but to do it. You hadn't experienced it before. So there's a level of fear, and that fucking fear builds up in us to the point that it hinders us from having more experiences, right? Because before you got the job you didn't have that job before. Before you started building a career, you haven't had a career before. Before you started dating your boyfriend, your husband, your significant other, the heartbreaker, you haven't dated them before. You get the gist of what I'm saying. When everything is new and it's the unknown, there's a certain level of fear you have to tackle, you have to conquer in order to move forward. And proceed with whatever experience is next. And baby, it is much easier said than done. I get that. But it got to be fucking done, because who else gonna fucking do it? Because I'm gonna tell you what I said. Because I tell people when we get into this, conversation, I tell people that I'm an action figure. And what I mean by that is that I usually go by actions. I don't give a fuck what people say. I really don't care what people say. Even me and Judas had this whole debate one time. And we both probably could have been right at the time, but I'm telling you, I couldn't understand him for the life of me. And our debate was um words versus action. And his, I guess, love language at the time was verbal. It was all verbal for him. And I told him, well, no, not for me. I need action, right? And he went on to give me this fucking scenario about you can say I love you, but if you say I love you and you're feeding me a dinner, my favorite dinner, but you're serving me my dinner on a garbage can, you know, you saying I love you actually means nothing. You're actually really saying that you don't give a damn about me, because even though you're saying I love you, you're serving me my dinner on the lid of a garbage can, you know. And I was like, right, well, that's the way I feel about action. Because so many people have been murdered by their significant other, somebody who fucking promised to love them no matter what. A lot of people experience the ultimate betrayal from best friends, the people who say they love them no matter what. But I feel like the enemy can definitely hide behind words, because if they learn themselves enough to understand their love language and know how to communicate it, they can actually manipulate and convince someone that they do love them. But actions don't fucking lie. Actions don't lie. I feel like even if the enemy is covering themselves and wearing a mask, it is only a matter of time before that motherfucking mask fall off. I don't give a fuck. You can tell me you love me all the fuck you want, but your actions is going to show me. And I've learned that with a so-called girlfriend of mine who at the time was supposed to be a motherfucking sister. Okay, I've learned that with 1, 2, 3 bitches. And in the last, 4. 4. I've learned that with 4 bitches in the last 5 motherfucking years of them saying one thing and doing something totally motherfucking different. Bitches that I knew for the longest time that I thought were my fucking sisters. And I thought that because of tenure. I have a delivery coming tomorrow. I thought they were my sisters because I realize now that it was trauma bonds. But the crazy shit about bonding through trauma is that for the pure hearted, you think that similar experiences will have you grow closer to people, because you feel like this is It's terrible what you're going through. It's terrible what I'm going through, but maybe we can figure it out together, right? And you come to realize that that is not their motherfucking intent at all. And that most people, not all, most people have their own personal motherfucking agendas for you. Whether it's because you're the pretty girl, you're the popular girl, you have, great motherfucking energy, you have a motherfucking pure heart. There's certain attractions that you get that they want. There's a light that you have that they want to step into a little bit, get a little bit of that light. Is something about, and this is some, I don't know if it's some God shit. I don't know if God's experienced this because I'm not a God, but as a woman, I have definitely experienced this shit since my motherfucking childhood. And it is so sad. When I was younger, I didn't really know. I didn't know. I felt it, but I was too young to really process the intuitive or the occult knowledge about it. I just knew that I felt a certain way in my gut around people. And I felt drained after being around some other people. And I was just too young. And when I say young, I'm talking about single digits. I'm talking about 7, 8, 9-year old. And this is how I'm feeling around some other kids. And this is how I'm feeling around some even adults. But I'm too young at the time to put it the fuck together. Fast forward to my teenage and young adult years, when I finally was able to have sense enough to get the gist of what this intuition was, I then would downplay it because consciously I couldn't understand. Even though the intuition was telling me one thing, I'm like, but why? Like that, convincing myself that I absolutely couldn't be right. The intuitive notion that I was getting, I was convincing myself that it wasn't right. And you know why I wasn't right? Because there was tenure in my relationships with my sisters to my guy. And it just can't be right what it is that I'm feeling because I've known them for so long, or I thought I've known them. Like the meme says, it could be, you can call someone your friend for fucking years and it'll still take you years to realize they was not your fucking friend. There's so many experiences that we share together, not just personally what I've been through, but we've been through similar things. We've got through certain things together. I've witnessed this person supersede their situation or their circumstance and come out of it a winner. And I have a sense of pride because of that. And I'm thinking that these people feel the same way about me, but that was not the fucking case. And I couldn't understand it also because, again, I'm a person of action. If I don't like you, and I've always been like this, if I don't like you, if point blank period, I'm not gonna fucking be around you. I don't want to be around. Why the fuck would I want to be around or chill around somebody and spend time with somebody I don't fucking like? Only to try to betray you? I don't gotta fucking spend time around your ass to motherfucking betray you. Remember, in the beginning, that's how we knew who our enemies were. They weren't hidden enemies to a degree. I don't know. I guess we all have hidden enemies, but I remember being in junior high school and high school that bitch know I don't like her. I know that bitch don't like me, and we just don't fucking click, and that's the fuck that. It wasn't, oh, I'm gonna get mad cool with her just to try to hurt her because I don't like her. Child. And so I didn't understand that concept. I still don't understand the concept. And guess what? I'm not trying to understand that motherfucking dumb shit. Same with these motherfucking niggas. I don't want to be with no nigga that's jealous of me, but in the beginning, I could not understand a man being jealous of a woman. I couldn't understand it. I could even go so far as to say I didn't even believe that that could be a such thing. Because men were so prideful and so machino, so macho, yeah, I'm the man, I'm the man. And I've had experiences with boyfriends early on who haven't displayed those same emotions, I guess. In the beginning, when I started dating and being able to have myself or call myself having boyfriends, this was in the 90s and the early 2000s. And I know it's probably like a fucking shit, a lifetime ago, 2 lifetimes ago, as I like to say. But there was a certain caliber of man that prided himself on being able to take care of his girlfriend, to do nice things for his mom. Those were the type of men that I was subjected to, from my family members to dating when I was younger. So as the world turns and we have these experiences, and some of the experience along the way ends up with us being hurt, the fear of the hurt causes a level of stagnation in healing, in growing, in moving forward. And so, because of the caliber of the men that I've experienced in my youth, this is why I could not understand, along with tenure, this is why I could not understand who Judas had turned into during the course of the relationship. Now, I'm going to say manipulation. He was manipulation at its finest, because those phone calls during the incarceration, those letters during the incarceration, the communication in which he prefers, because he's verbal, remember, along with my intent and the way that I felt about him, had me totally convinced that we could make it. Not that it would be easy, but he had convinced me that we could make it. And his actions showed me not only that we could make it, his actions showed me that he was not interested in making it with me, with our family. That wasn't what he wanted for himself. So there's a level of fear, right, that hinders us from having more experiences. Sometimes motherfucking fear could hinder you from, how can I say this? Hold on, let me find the right word. Fear can even hinder you from healing, because you're so fearful to let that part of your life go. It probably got us to where we are. It probably defined who we were at that point. Because I know it did for me. I found myself, my adult self, right? I found myself in his absence. Now, I can't say the same for everyone, but I can say that it's like I don't I have a fear of being alone. And so I'm gonna stay in this toxic shit. I have a fear of failure. It feels like if we don't stay together, I failed. I have a fear that I won't look like a winner. Because to everyone that known about me all these motherfucking years and knew who I was and knew I waited for that motherfucker, okay? It made me feel like if we didn't stay together, not only did I look like a fool, but we wouldn't make it. And I will ultimately look like the loser. Because it appears that I don't have anything to show for my dedication, my loyalty, my representation of what we were, my life during our relationship. These are real issues and concern of an individual, as petty as it may seem to some people, because some people be like, I don't give a fuck what other people think. And we can say that all we want, but there's some point or some time in your life when you actually do care what people think. You do. And what they think and what they say about you affects you. And I know during that process of him being absent and me decide to stay with him, it was important to me, his view of me. So it was even more important for me to be dedicated and to be loyal and to stay with him and stick with him no matter what, because I wanted his acceptance. I wanted him to know that I was exceptional to all the fucking rules that the whole world have about us as individuals and us as a society and us as a community and blah, blah, blah. I wanted him to know that I was the fucking exception. Right? Like, nigga, you done lucked up. Because not only do you got a bad one, you got a real one. Right? And so the way he thought about me and the way he felt towards me was important to me at that time. Now, you have to face the fact, and this is during the breakup, and pardon me if I'm all over the place, but what I'm saying has points, but it can't be so structural because I'm going off the top. This is not scripted, right? I'm going off the top. But when you get to the point of any point in the breakup, from the realizing it's really real to going through the pain of it, getting past certain points, because you'll go a couple of steps forward, like my sister said. She said, I'm so frustrated sometimes because it's like I can take 10 steps forwards but then take 30 steps back. And like I explained to her, unfortunately, that is what the healing process is, baby. That's just what it's like. But I need for everyone watching to just understand when you're serious about healing, right? Because people will say that they want to heal and they'll think that they've healed past a particular situation, and they'll go on with their life until that situation shows up later on down the fucking road. Okay? So, in my personal experience, and healing journey. The healing journey is a lifetime. And the reason why you take 10 steps forward, but then you take 30 steps back is because when you get to this 10th motherfucking step and you was able to cross this line and say, okay, I dealt with this part and I've made my peace with this. Okay. But there's when you get to 10 and a half, or when you get to 11, you now got to go back because you made your peace up until this point. But then in your subconscious, you say to yourself, or there's a divine notification, right, that says, you've got to this point, you've made your peace with it, and you've done great, daughter, doing that. But now I need for you to go back, because we need to understand how the fuck we even got 1 through 10 to begin with. You got through 10 and you was able to make your peace with it. And that's great. But how the fuck you even got to the step 1 to begin with, have to get to 10? How that came? Meaning the healing process is a lifelong journey. And when you heal from one part, right? Because baby, your body keeps the score of all the pain. Now I don't know, I have the book, but our physical body takes on ailments in different places due to whatever trauma we've experienced in our lifetime, right? So when you're healing, and this is why, right, sidebar, this is why when you are healing, it is so important to have different levels of healing. Yes, you got to heal mentally, but it has to be spiritually, it also has to be emotionally, it also has to be physically, like all of that have to go into play, because trauma is also being held in your body. So you're healing each level emotionally, you're healing mentally, but it's still trauma in the body somewhere. So you want to implement some type of physical, whether it's a yoga, ooh, you heard that crack, yeah, or a rigorous exercise. You got to heal all of that shit. But healing takes place in increments. Healing is linear, it's not instant. Because every time, like I said, every time we heal, every time we get to a certain stage, it's another door that fucking opens. And the door usually is, how did we get to this particular space that we needed to heal? We need to research ourselves to find out the part that we played and why we did it. And then we also need to understand why we allowed that to happen. Because the lesson in the healing is we have to elevate past certain parts so that we don't create a cycle. You don't want to create a generational curse. You don't want to create a cycle of going through the same thing with another person or a different person just because there's doors that was open that wasn't closed. You cannot just heal from one thing when you on this motherfucking journey, baby. Healing is a fucking Pandora's box. Okay? I'm keeping it all the way 100. Now, it's a lifelong process, not just because it's Pandora's box, but you also have to take a break from that shit. You cannot focus on healing 24 hours a day, 8 days a motherfucking week, 399,000 days of the fucking year. You will drive yourself insane. Because it is a lifelong process. It has to be done, again, in increments. Sometimes you'll have the realization of some shit, or sometimes some occult or knowledge will come to you when you least suspect it, and it can fuck you up. Let me give you an example. My mama died when I was young. My mama died when I was 20 years old. I miss my mom so much. I miss the mother in her. But unfortunately, because I was because she was very young, because she was so young, um, she I was very young. I did not get. I felt like I was robbed of the opportunity to getting to know my mom as an individual, like as a person, not as a friend, but besides my mother, because I realized, in coming of age, that is more to me than just being a mom. Like, yes, I'm a mother. I am, and I take pride in being a mother, but I'm not just a mom. So I felt kind of robbed of that, right? But the relationship with me and my mom that was broken, um and I'm saying it was broken because she was a young, very young parent. My mom had me when she was 16 years old, very young parent. um and did the best that she could. I don't take that away, but I don't hold none of that against my mother and all, whether she was an ideal mom or not, or a perfect mom or not. I don't hold any grudges against my mom, any. However, um, I do believe that my relationship with my mom and the relationships that I have seen my mom experience is part of the reason why I carry such a mothering spirit with me. And when I say mothering spirit, it's um in my relationships, I have unintentionally played mother to some men that I've dated. I have played mother to some of my female friendships that I've had. Um, I've also known that the relationship that I've had with my grandma, right, um, was unfortunately very toxic. And it fucked me up to realize that I was clinging to people that I refused to see the truth about people, and was attached to people because through these people that I eventually found out didn't like me. When I was getting those signs, I was ignoring the signs, not just because of tenure. Like, this is where I'm at in my healing process, right? Check this shit out, how I can fuck you up. Not just because of tenure, because as I healed from and accepted it, I'm like, okay, it's because of tenure, and it's because, of the way that I was loving these people, that I felt like, that they were going to be the same to me. No, it's not just that. For years, I was seeking my grandmother's approval. My grandma, I don't want to say replace, because no one can replace your mom, but my grandma also overtook the role of mother, even though she was already a mother. But my mom died at a very young age, and left behind myself and my brothers, and we were all very young adults, so young that we didn't have our shit together, even though I was a parent. And so for years, and I'm talking about from a little girl, for years, decades, lifetimes, I was seeking it. From when I was a little girl, I can remember seeking my grandmother's approval, because she was one of those people that internally made me feel a way when I was little that I could not identify when I was little. And I didn't understand it then, but as a little girl, I will always try to go out of my way to make her happy, all the way till I was an adult. And these particular people that I allowed to stay within my energy, even though intuitively I was getting messages about them and I refused to believe it, and I convinced myself otherwise, wasn't just because of tenure. Now it's more than that. Now we in Pandora's box of healing. So now my what I've come to understand, it go deeper than that. It's not just because of tenure. It's not just because of the way I was loving them. But through these people, I'm still trying to seek the approval of my grandmother. I am people pleasing, trying to seek their approval, even if it meant dumbing myself down, even if it meant ignoring the signs, because I needed to prove to myself that I was fucking lovable and that people was gonna love me because I'm that pure and I'm that real. See, grandma? Type of shit. And so when you start on a road to healing, right? And I'm laughing because the creator sets it up to where as though people are a part of the lessons that we're supposed to learn. And it be fucked up sometimes because the fear of losing these people stagnates your growth. You know what I'm saying? It's fear. Like everything is so fucking true. That means that everything you want is on the other side of fear. So you holding on to these fucking made up attachments. Even after a while, they become made up, because you're trying to soothe their self-conscious, soothe their intuition into believing that the life that you created for yourself, you're worth having. You deserve it. You're worth living that particular life. Whole motherfucking time, the creator has something set up for you, something better that you can't even imagine, but you got to go through certain things to get there, because what he has for you has you to be designed to be a particular person to be able to handle this shit, right? But you get to this point of the breakup and say, okay, I accept that it's over. I understand the role that I played. I make my peace with it. And then here go another fucking box and be like, okay, and that's beautiful. You made your peace. I'm glad you made your peace with it. But now here it is. How the fuck you even got there? When did you allow yourself to become toxic? To accept this shit? When did you lower who you know you are to become conducive to the toxic? And not just when did it happen? Why? Because you loved them. Okay, so when did you get to the point that you started loving someone else more than you loved yourself? When I held my grandmother to an esteem so motherfucking high, because to me, she was the ideal woman, right? So I held her to this esteem that for me to be an ideal woman like her, I had to I needed acceptance from her. I needed her to love me unconditionally the way that I loved her, because after my mom passed away, I had no one else to look to. She was the matriarch. She was the ideal woman. She had it going the fuck on as far as my eyes was concerned. Everyone that I loved her. And so whatever it was that I was feeling, however toxic our relationship became, I still always went back to her and made an exception for her because I needed to, for her to accept me at every phase of my life, even though she did not. And so I began to make excuses for people that I love because I wanted them to accept me too. I wanted them to love me too. So, nobody's perfect. Oh, he don't understand me. Or maybe he don't see, type of shit. You get what I'm saying? Healing is a Pandora's box, and it is not for the fucking weak. It is not. You got to be a strong motherfucker because sometimes that shit will fuck you up if you let it. If you let it. You must stay in tune with prayer to whoever the God is that you subscribe to. You absolutely must take on some type of physical activity because trauma is also stored in the body. Everything that I'm saying will assist in aligning your chakras. You understand? My allergies is fucking with me again. Everything that I'm telling you will assist in aligning your chakras so that you are able to heal. And after you get occult knowledge about things and it fuck you up, you need a minute to process that shit. And then after you process it, you need a minute to accept that shit. And then after you accept that shit, you need a minute just to fucking breathe and understand the fact that you did good. Because that's called shadow work. Healing is shadow work. People be like, oh, it's spirituality, right? Let me just say this. Spirituality and religion kind of go like hand in hand in the sense that I do believe factually, I know that religion was created to be a controlling device for humankind, right? Spirituality is you getting your personal relationship with whatever God you subscribe to, right? Because there's God within all of us, but there's a balance also between all of us. We all have a light side and we have a fucking dark side too. And in order for us to heal, you got to bring the dark into the light. Okay, that's what healing is. That's why you open a fucking Pandora's box. The dark side is the shadow work. That's why they say you got to do the shadow work. The shadow work is the dark shit, the shit that we hide. It's the moon phase. It's the secret shit, the shit that we don't really talk about, the shit that bothers us, that we don't want fucking people to know about. The shit that we dealing with. The shit that can cause us to go into a fucking depression. The shit that can potentially cause people to commit fucking suicide because they don't know how to deal with it or it's getting the fucking best of them. You gotta bring that motherfucking darkness to light. Is it easy? Hell motherfucking no. But please tell me one motherfucking thing in this life that's easy. Please. I'll fucking wait. Ain't nothing in this motherfucking life easy. All the thing that I can think of that should keep you going is that you have to know that you deserve it. You deserve to walk in your glow, to be fully in your light. You owe it to yourself. Not that anyone else owes you any motherfucking thing, because everything that we put our energy into is a risk. So it doesn't matter if it was our significant other, if it was our ex, there are consequences behind every fucking decision that we make. Every fucking single one of them. So when you get to your healing journey, right? Give yourself grace. Religion says pray for your enemies, right? Spirituality says do not continue to entertain or put your energy into well, we call it the ops now, but your energy defines who you are. Your aura is consistent with your energy. You, especially in these healing phases, you need your energy for you. So if your motherfucking cup is damn near empty because you're healing and you're trying to get your shit together mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, whatever it is that you're trying to do, how the fuck can you take any of your energy and give it to somebody else, especially your enemies, or especially people that have played a part of you being in this position in the first place? I can no longer allow you access to any of my fucking energy. The only prayer that I give to the ops is that I was finally able to accept and make peace with what happened between us. And that's called grace. And that's the only fucking prayer you get from me. I no longer am going to give you any of my motherfucking energy, because that's a daily fucking fight. Okay? You don't know how bad sometimes I just want to call. I ain't speak to that motherfucker in 3 years. I have a fucking long to break up in. I know it's been 2 for sure. 2.5 at this point. It's about to be 3. I cannot, and I can't even fucking tell you that sometimes I just want to call that motherfucking curse his ass the fuck out. And I refrain from doing it. And the reason why I feel that way is not because I didn't forgive him. I done forgave him. I done moved forward. But it's because I still get the urge because I never did. Right? I never did. And the crazy shit is I don't even have a long list of shit to say. As I continue to heal and continue to figure out shit, the shit that I want to say gets less and less. Like right now, if I had the opportunity, I'll probably just be like, you're a stupid motherfucker. And the fucking nerve of me to dumb myself down so motherfucking low that I would take 13 and a half years of my motherfucking life and dedicate loyalty, love, finances, or any motherfucking thing else to a stupid motherfucker. I wouldn't have waited for no stupid motherfucker, because I can't stand a dumb motherfucker. Motherfucker like that ain't a man of my motherfucking caliber. But had I had a preview of what it would be like, I could have at least, or maybe he even could have least, handle things a little differently to where we can still be cordial. Handle things differently that I could have still assisted my friend in his low time of incarceration. But I wouldn't have to have felt obligated to take all of my resources to make sure that he was good. If you're not motherfucking careful, and if you're not ensured to heal, that shit could leave you bitter. And child, I was not. See, I wasn't gonna let him win that motherfucking way either. You ain't gonna make me motherfucking bitter, because bitter make you old and ugly fast. Ain't gonna be me. So I see the time is zooming by fast. I hope I did not hold you up. I am going to start my day, start my morning. I'm gonna take care of some things, around the house. I am still upgrading, but one thing I realized is that I can take my time and do things, and that is what I'm doing. So with that, I love you. I wish you much love, continue healing, blessings. Thank you. Anytime you feel to tune in and give me any of your time. I appreciate it. Remind me next time to turn this motherfucking phone down because it ain't that serious unless it's my children. Blessings to you all. I will see you again soon.